Hello from Sarajevo. So this is our first time in Bosnia.
Yeah, and we're learning a lot already. We've only been here a day. World War I was sparked here. The Sarajevo Winter Olympics were here in 1984, and even since then there's been some more that we'll also discuss. Now we also discovered since we've been here that East meets West, and we'll talk more about that. All right, so the other piece of history here in Sarajevo was what sparked World War I when Frank Ferdinand and his wife Sophia were assassinated right here on this corner, and that's what started all of World War I. So a lot of history here in Sarajevo.
So we're down here in Old Town, and boy, it just goes on and on and on. You can get pretty much everything here.
Anything you want. You can get tea sets, you can get candy, any kind of food.
Lots of
you might
want.
want,
They
a lot
like
of
their
candy.
sweets, yeah.
Got rugs. I mean, they had just about anything you could absolutely want. So that was kind of interesting. Now we're on the west side
Right.
of Old Town.
So there's an area where it's the east meets west, and boy, it's interesting because we walked across it last night, and I immediately said to Brian, like, oh my God, it feels like we're in another country. And you do, you immediately have this changed feeling of just that whole atmosphere around you. And honestly, it reminds me, we haven't been to Turkey yet, but it reminds me of everything I've seen about Turkey. So
and this
very
is something
cool.
we didn't know coming in. We had no idea, and
Yeah.
so it was a neat surprise for us.
So we both stopped and got a smoothie. This is what we both got, antioxidant.
Yeah, I think I needed it.
We both
Sure.
needed it. It's very heavy food here, so they are so good though, and they weren't bad. What was it? It was about $2.50 US. So
Yeah, that's good. That's a good price.
Okay, so we stopped and got a snack because we're both really hungry. Fortunately, they have a lot of street food here, and these are beer rack, I believe is what they're called. We got the beef ones, so see how they are. Is that good?
Yes, they're very good.
They're only $1.50 US each.
You know, the great thing about this beer is not only does it taste great, but it's less filling, and it costs $2.50 USD.
For a big beer.
For a big beer. Yeah, it's a good deal.
Really cool market here in the center of town. A lot of meat and cheese.
A lot of cheese, meat,
yeah,
eggs,
that's
dairy
kind of the
products,
main things that are here. But it has a lot of interesting history to it as well.
Yeah, the building itself now was a refuge place for a lot of the locals during the war. And when that building was bombed, 45 people, I believe,
Yes.
were killed. And that's what brought NATO into the conflict, which ultimately ended the conflict.
So if we were here longer, that would definitely be where we would go to buy our vegetables and fruit. Oh my gosh, it smells so amazing in there.
They had flowers in there too. I could have bought Carrie some flowers.
Yeah,
But we're only staying for 2 days, so
and that's never happened.
No point.
So it would be so shocking.
That's happened.
I don't remember this moment, but he does, so that's what counts. It's kind of funny how we just wander around and stumble across things, and we saw this question mark sign with an arrow. We walk back. It's kind of cool. There's some cool rugs back here, but we see a coffee place. One thing to note about the tickets when you buy them here for your buses, so we'll be going to Mostar after this, you have to print them off. It's actually an incredibly easy process. Just make sure you have them the email, and all the places that we've gone to, or the places we've gone to, had Wi-Fi there, so you could just connect and then you email it to them and they print it off for you.
It's been very easy. Now, we thought it would be complicated. When we read that online, oh my gosh, we have to print these off.
Or find a place, or
yeah. It's very easy.
It's very easy. the storm's moving in. It's a perfect time to go up to the top of the mountain.
Good time to head up to the top of the mountain. Now, in 1984, the Winter Olympics were in Sarajevo. So if you're old enough to remember that, like we are, it's kind of a big deal. You know, I was totally in the Olympics. Bob Costas, welcome to Sarajevo, the home of the Winter Olympics. So it's a very cool thing, and it's sad to know that less than 10 years later, there was a war going on here. But we're going to go up the hill. It is starting to rain, so we're going to get wet. But we're going to share the bobsled. There's some trails out here.
The bobsleds are up here, yeah. And so this was unoperational until 2018. So it was taken out during the war and just really recently came up and going again. So, yeah.
Here we go. We're going to go check out the view.
So for tourists to come up here, it is $10 USD round trip. There's also a trail. You can, I guess, walk on the bobsleds and come down. But for locals, it's a lot less expensive. So we're feeling like it's going to be worth it.
Right, so as soon as we got up here, there's thunder and lightning, but that's fine. We got things we want to see.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trails, a lot of hiking. There's signs and arrows pointing every which direction. We're gonna go find the bobsled.
Yeah, that's kind of the sight to see when you're up here. But I would have to say this is something that we weren't planning on doing, and just kind of last minute we saw it and we're like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah,
It's a must-see because,
must-see.
oh my gosh, coming up, the view that you get of Sarajevo is absolutely gorgeous. And you don't realize how big and expansive Sarajevo is until you're coming up on that.
Yeah, it's worth the price of admission just to see the view.
So this is so cool. Can't believe we weren't going to come up here, but to be in the location of the Olympics, to be able to see the bobsled track, and it definitely at this point, they kind of say it's like a apocalyptic time as far as it has never, nothing is, since that point, nothing's been done, totally graffitied over, but we're walking on it right now.
It's a trail now.
Yeah, and it's
eerie.
Honestly, it's eerie, but it is so cool to be up here and to see this. You got the real feel? Brian's trying to get the real feel of what it would be like if he was on a bobsled.
Now see, when you hit these turns, you don't want to go too high, because you'll lose speed. You don't want to go too low for the same reason. You want to hit it just right. So I think it was the Germans that were really good at this.
Good gecko. So the further that you walk down the bobsled track, the further you get to walk up the bobsled
you
track.
go back up. You don't get the speed going up as you do coming down.
No,
now,
he can't run it. He's not willing to run it. He could.
Remember on TV when you were watching this, you heard all the cowbells going? I'm not hearing any cowbells.
Yeah, he's obsessed with cowbells right now.
We definitely need...
He needs some cheering.
We need more
Somebody
cowbell.
on our side.
We need more cowbell.
There you go. You got it. He's gonna make it all of like 25 feet. Much faster route. there is a museum. When you get off the gondola and come down the stairs to your right, it's a free museum. So it's right here behind us. It was started by a family who survived the war. So very interesting.
There's one thing to read about what happened here, and to see it puts a pit in your stomach. And think about what's going on right now in the Ukraine. It's just tragic, and this was only less than 30 years ago.
Right.
So some of the things that happen here, there's mortar shells that have hit the ground that have killed people that they laid tribute to. To see that thing, it's
right. And in the areas where, from what we read, in the areas where more than 3 people died, there was a marking. They've gone through and they put some red paint on the ground. And I'm sure this happened in many other areas. This is just part of the areas that they marked it. It's kind of eerie, and honestly it makes you just a little bit nauseous because they're in the middle of the walkway, so you walk over it and you realize where you've walked. So just a lot of heavy history here. The war here took place and went for 1,425 days. And what was it? On average, 320 shells hit the ground each of those days.
Yeah.
Hard to even wrap your head around, for us especially.
Well, yeah, because we've never experienced anything like this in our lives. So.
Yeah. And one thing you see when you are walking around here that really also just brings it, makes it very real, is there's the bullet holes where they have hit the buildings, and they've remained there. That hasn't been repaired. We can see some buildings are starting to repair that, but yeah, this makes it very real. Just we're at the Sarajevo Brewery. Must see if you're here. Absolutely must see. Yeah.
Even if you're not into beer, you've got to come to this building.
Yeah.
They got a full bar. It's a restaurant. They have a lot going for it. It's very historical.
Yeah.
This building, this brewery has been here in this location since 1881, and it was a refuge for a lot of people during the war because they have fresh drinking water.
They do, yeah. And it comes from 300 feet below the ground. So yeah, we've absolutely loved our time here. Our Airbnb has been great. We're in a really, really close location to the downtown area. Yeah. A lot of space. We have 2 bedrooms, which we didn't need. We didn't need all the space, but would definitely recommend the location that we were at. We will put the link below that. If you haven't seen this video, check that one out next.
It's a good one. Cheers.